Hey, welcome back. So I put out a video that, you know, I did just in time, um, for 10th edition to be announced, where I was talking about getting back into the game and finding motivation and, how I was starting to kind of enjoy ninth edition. And, lo and behold, 10th edition is announced. And I'm going to go over kind of what 10th edition has been described as so far in another video. I'm still sort of like looking through everything and sort of just kind of feeling it out, trying to get my thoughts together on it instead of just throwing something out, going like, "This sounds neat." But they have a little update here today where it is confirming just the basics. It is a new edition, and it's going to be quicker and easier to play because it's getting rid of all the extra books. The their design philosophy, they say, is simplified, not simple. And we'll see how this stacks up. And this is what they did in 8th edition. They got rid of everything, gave us index books, and by the end of 8th edition, we were not as buried under books as we were in 7th, but probably not far off, I don't think either. Um, so we'll see how this goes. There's going to be less stratagems. That's amazing. I hate stratagems. I have said for a long time that there's just too many of them and it's too complicated to keep track of them all. And I don't like gotcha moments when it comes to this. I mean, I liked in the old fantasy games, old fantasy editions, when you would have your magic weapons be secret. So there were some gotcha moments. I don't mind them once in a while. But for the most part, I mean, there really weren't that many magic items that after a couple of games with a certain army, you could keep track of, what to look out for, what was probably, a chance of happening just to avoid. And that added a level. Stratagems are just like, okay, there's like 4 or 6 or 8, stratagems I really got to pay attention for. And they all have different names that I have to keep track of. That as they're saying it, I'm not 100% sure I know which one it is. And some of them, too, were so good that it really was just frustrating. So, really happy to see stratagems gone. Relics going down in number, it's kind of like in 8th edition fantasy when we lost a lot of magic items, and it became here's a whole bunch of generic ones, and here's the 2 pages of army specific versus like 4, 5, or 6 pages. I mean, like my Skaven book, for example, like there's at least 4 pages of magic items. I think it might be 5. It's a lot. It's one of the reasons it's kind of good they didn't get an update by the end, because there was a lot that we could have lost. So, seeing that go down 40k though is nice. Again, it's nice to have them, but most of them aren't that good, and some of them, I don't quite understand them. I can't think of what it's called, the Barbican's key or something for my guard. It's like a little teleporter device, so guys can hop around the battlefield, and it just doesn't feel very guard to me. Like, I don't understand what that's doing in the Guard Codex. I don't feel like it fits the fluff or the lore very well. Like, that's like, I feel like if anyone in the Imperium was going to have that, it would be like like a rogue trader or something. Not a rogue trader, sorry, an Inquisitor. Although I guess a rogue trader, those are sort of an option now too, with because of Kill Team. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think a lot of these relics really belonged anyways. Some of them were just like, oh, here's a plasma gun that gets like I think 3 shots and it doesn't overheat. Oh, that's neat. And then here's some sort of like magic teleporting thingy you can hop around the board with, and like do a ton of damage. Oh, I don't know why I have that. That seems like something that guardsmen probably don't have access to. But yeah, back on track. Special rules are being cut back because the universal special rules are back, and that's really good news. A lot of people have been asking for that, I think, and I know I have been, just because it would be so much simpler to just hear "Feel No Pain," um, "Deep Strike," or whatever. Just hear the name that everybody shares. Like it used to be before 8th edition, and like it is in Horus Heresy. Yes, there can be a lot of them, but there was a lot of them anyways. And every time they repeated, you had to hope that, well, are they even remotely, named the same? And it was just one thing that I had to remember that I shouldn't have had to remember. Uh, Not because the rule was there, but because the rule was there with a randomly different name than the version I had, even though they do the same thing. I don't know what they were thinking. I'm glad they got over that, and we're going to get some simple rules in terms of just naming things. And yeah, so Combat Patrol is another thing that's changing. They're not just box sets anymore. They are now some sort of way to play. It sounds like it's a mini game. Maybe that's not the right term for it, but like a sub game where they're going to have their own rules that you can use with them, specifically the models in that box, to play against other Combat Patrol box sets in your own version of 40K. Just little short, quick games. They've been balanced against each other. That is going to be quite the task, because many of those are all over the place in terms of balance and what you get. I've heard some of them are, like 600 and 700 points or more of models. I don't know which ones specifically because I haven't looked that much into it. I just heard there's one or two that have very high model value in terms of points, and others that are very low, like the guard one's only like 350 points thereabouts, 360 points. And I mean, like, guardsmen are good, but they're not that good. I mean, like, you don't go up against something that's, twice your tabletop value and probably win in most cases. So, whatever they've done, I'm sure they thought this through. It would be a big shame if they didn't. Yeah, so carrying on. Yep, you can use your minis, obviously. That would have been insane if you couldn't. And are my codexes compatible? Like, don't even worry about it. We'll tell you about codexes next week. The codexes aren't compatible, at least as they stand. I would love to hear that they're just going to sell us giant sticker sheets to just cover pages. That would be awesome. Because I would pay $20 for a bunch of sticker sheets. I mean, I don't know what sticker sheets would cost to produce. So this might be like impossible because maybe they are really expensive. But the point is that, I mean, I just got my Guard Codex. Some poor slob bought a World Eater Codex in the last like week, or any other Codex really. People have been buying codexes right up until Adepticon and the announcements, many of which are just frankly not going to have really known this was coming. Yes, most people are aware, but I've literally had people get mad at me online on different pages, whether it's Facebook or Reddit or wherever I'm talking about 40K, and mentioning like to new players, oh, just so you know, it sounds like there's about 4 or 5 months until there's a new edition. So definitely be buying stuff based on what you really want to play and paint versus what you think is good in the meta, what you're hearing you should buy, because it might be very different. And when the rumors were coming out about the codexes going away, myself and others were saying things like, hey, just so you're aware, it's possible the codexes are going away. So just, take that into account when you're buying. People were not okay with that for some reason. The Warhammer 40K community, I almost feel like I want to do a video just to kind of rant about it in general. But it goes from like, you got one side of it where you got guys that Games Workshop has to come out and say like, hey, listen, the toys are space Nazis. Like, we don't want real Nazis in the game. And then you got another side which are like, militantly upset about everything that isn't like super positive, happy thoughts. And that includes, the game itself. Like, if you say like, oh, you know what, this sucks that I just bought this codex and it's void, 25 people are going to tell you that the the game does this every edition. I mean, like, it doesn't. It's only done this a few times, specifically second to third, seventh to eighth is the only times our books have been mass invalidated. I don't know where they get their information. Some of them are older and they claim to have played for a long time, and I don't know if they just have bad memories, um, if they really are just like contrarians who get mad literally every time you say anything that might be construed as negative. Even if you could say 10th edition sounds awesome, real shame about my codex, and they're going to get mad because they don't care that you said something positive. They care you said something negative, as far as they're concerned. But like, yeah, they don't know. Like, I don't know if they're like new players, some of them, and like there is like a whole thing in society, at least in the West, where people have become like super attached to corporations and brands, and like will die on that hill. And I don't understand it whatsoever. Trying to, you know, trying to get in the headspace where I would actively defend a corporation that has like a, last I heard, like 250 to 300 million pound a year, IP. I don't know. Like, I mean, that's crazy to me. And yeah, so anyways, I've mentioned to people like, just be careful, and I've gotten my head torn off over it like several times, and I've told people off and I've laughed at them, and they just, it doesn't really make sense to me. I don't get it, but yeah, our books are gone. They're gonna be gone. The only thing they said that's sticking around is Arcs of Omen. So to all the people, if you're randomly hearing this, nuts to you, that if you got mad at me or anybody else who just said, hey, the rumors are suggesting this, and they do line up with, the reality of GW release cycles, and, hey, this rumor about the books disappearing came at the same time as all these other rumors that were kind of accurate, so, I don't fully believe it, but let's also not just, like, assume that this isn't going to happen and tell a bunch of new players to go spend $120 on, like, books, $200 on books, or whatever it is they need to buy. Special rules are back, as I said earlier, as they had said. Vehicles and monsters still degrade. It's just going to be different. I'm guessing it's just going to be after a certain level of damage, like take one off of this, this profile, point area, like, whatever the stat line. Could not think of it. Take a point off of this stat, or take 2 points off of that stat. I never found it was too complicated. The way they already had it, it was just a matter of going like, okay, when I lose 5 wounds, I gotta just use the middle one. When I lose 9 wounds, I gotta use the bottom one. And frankly, usually when you got to the bottom one, you were like within like 3 wounds of death anyways. So it's not like it mattered. Very seldom did I have a thing down to like 3 wounds that lasted more than really one more turn at best. So we'll see what this means. I do hope what they mean by streamlined is they just made it more sensible. I really think that just literally 2 stat versions. Once you hit half health, it's this instead. That'd be really nice. If it was just like take 1 from each. Because also at the same time, I also did feel that like when they took away the glancing and penetrating and all that charts, which had immobilized and weapon destroyed options instead of just blowing up. When they took that away, they did take away what was overall a fairly simple way to understand how damage happened. The whole thing together was a bit complicated at times, but I did like the just like, oh, the weapon is gone. It's as simple as that. There's no more weapon to shoot. So going down to like, oh, the weapons don't shoot as well, it's not as nice in my opinion, but it's also not hard. So I'm not sure what they can do to streamline that. I really just think it's going to be like -1 or -2 per stat, or maybe even like -3. Like seriously knock it down. The OC stat, objective control. This just sounds like instead of I have objective secured, do you have objective secured? Nobody gets the Objective probably, if we both have it, we're kind of just sitting there staring at each other and, hoping the other guy dies faster than we do. It sounds more like, okay, yeah, you've got like 5 Terminators and maybe they're worth 5 or 8 objective control points each, but I've got like 75 guardsmen. And for some reason, they're all within range of this. I'm just gonna I'm taking this objective through sheer numbers. Uh, you know, it was always annoying when like 2 Space Marines kind of thing stood there, and then the 30 orcs couldn't take an objective from them. So this is nice. This is good. And then they say it's coming soon-ish, but it's going to be a while. Probably June 24th. The rumors have been saying that. I think it's June 24th, not July 24th. Anyways, I think it's June 24th, and that's probably when the box set's going to launch. Most of the other rumors turned out to be true, so I have no reason to doubt that one. Yeah, good stuff to know. To get prepped, you're going to get a box set with some Marines and some Tyranids. Anyways, yeah, I'm now pretty excited. Again, a little frustrating because I have been learning 9th edition, and I just got a codex a few months ago finally, and it is what it is. I mean, like, it's not the end of the world. The problem is that 9th edition is still so bad in so many ways, in my opinion, that I'm frustrated about the codex, but I'm not even mad, because if they kept the codexes the way they were and I kept playing, within a few months, I'm positive I would have just got annoyed again anyways. With power creep or, some change that they keep making, and then my army doesn't work the same anyways, or it gets worse, or somebody else's gets much better because they're like, oh, well, we got to boost these guys over here. We got to nerf those guys over there. Like, 9th edition is such a mess that they were going to be tweaking this till the end of time anyways. And 10th edition I don't think is going to be any better. There's too many armies. But you know what? If every edition just becomes, hey, it's been about 3 years, they're going to do a new edition. Stop buying books and just wait. They're probably refreshing within the next 6 months. So if you are okay with buying a book that lasts 6 months, go for it. If not, then don't. So I'm not too mad. We'll see. That sounds good. I'm pretty excited about the force organization chart. That sounds awesome. I'll probably talk about this again, but like, if I understand it right, and I seem to understand it right, you can have 6 of each, what they're calling battle line, or somebody was calling battle line. It's like Age of Sigmar. I can have 6 of each of the troop choices. Assuming that those stay the same, that means that I have Cadians and infantry, and Catechins and Death Corps. I have Cadians, I have Catechins, I have Praetorians that can be an infantry squad, and I have Vostroyans that, because of their kind of cool look and the actual weapon loadouts I have available for my squads, they may as well just be Death Corps, which is how I'm going to run them. So I'm kind of going through my guard right now, even more than I was, and I'm doing some serious inventory, and I'm realizing that my Vostroyans, I need to paint a few. Like literally like 16 or something. It's under 20 that need paint. If I want to use 6 squads. And I have a whole bunch, like maybe 20, that need to have their bases finished. But otherwise, I mean, this army is like ready to go. Like 6 squads of these guys that I can run as a Death Corps, as I said. And, I'm going to be able to dig out my Catechins, get after them. If I just use some contrast paints for the sake of getting them done, I think that won't take very long at all. So that's nice. And I've already got basically all my Cadians painted. And the same thing with my my Praetorians. I've got 4 squads painted up, or just about 4 squads out of the 6 I would need. And that really won't take that long. So I feel like that might become a little project. Instead of working out fantasy, which I'm still going to do, like I had said in the video, I might kind of just actually do a big deep dive on my guard. Make sure I have, I guess, 9 Leman Russ. It sounds like that might be the maximum. assuming I can still take squadrons of 3. I guess this is the big thing. You're just gonna have to figure out what they're changing in a few months. But yeah, I think I might this weekend just get a folding table set up in my workspace and lay out all of my guardsmen that need work, and just start getting after them. You know, like the Vostroyans there, I said I got a whole bunch that just need me to basically fix their bases. Um, and it won't take long. I just need to get some, well, I don't know what color I was using. It was some sort of brown texture paint. But I have other ones. I'll get some brown texture paint on them, get some snow on them, and they're done. You know, a huge number of them. I'm looking at it now, and I think I have, what, one, two, like 55 or 60, something like that, 70. It's a lot, anyways. I have a huge. I got them all lined up right now, and I'm just kind of make sure I add them up right. But yeah, it looks like I am pretty close to 65 painted Vostroyans that really just need their bases done in some cases. So that's cool. It's going to look really nice. Even though they have different bases from my Cadians, it's still going to look cool having them plus the Cadians and the Praetorians and then the Catechins all on the board. Hopefully the Catechins get better rules. And yeah, anyways, I'm just kind of rambling now about my guard. I'm pretty excited about the guard. I always am. So I'm going to stop there. Thanks for listening, and if you have any thoughts or comments, leave them down below, and have a great day.